Okay. Today, the federal government is $17 trillion in debt. That works out to be $150,000 for every taxpayer in the country. The three of you sitting here, each owe the government $150,000, and it grows daily. And this is money that eventually is going to have to be paid. Our Congress, our presidents, our Supreme Court tend to skirt the laws of the Constitution, and by all appearances, we seem to be heading down the road of tyranny. My name is Chris Elias. I have served my country. I've owned 2 small businesses, and I have paid taxes for 32 years. The reason I'm speaking to you today is I believe that there's a great risk that the goals and dreams that you're shooting for, the sacrifices you're making, putting yourself through school, trying to get a better education, are at risk of being taken away from you with no ability to get them back. Our government is moving further and further away from its founding principles. The word socialism is something that when I was growing up was considered to be an evil that you steered away from. Today, socialism seems to mean something completely different. Socialism is the road or the path you take for fairness and social justice. Our Constitution was set up not to guarantee fairness. Our Constitution was set up to guarantee our freedom. So today, Congress has become a career for many of its members. These members, based on their reckless spending, make it appear as though they're no longer accountable to the people. The Supreme Court redefines laws on a regular basis, and our past 2 presidents skirt the Constitution through executive powers and by the ignoring of the oath of office that they took when they became president. Our Constitution was initially built with a separation of powers, and this was to prevent tyranny. They created the legislative, the judicial, and the executive branches all to form a set of checks and balances against each other. The legislative branch today is, again, it's filled with career politicians. People who go there to stay there, that becomes their means of income. 20% of the senators today have more than 16 years in the Senate. 50% of those had served prior in the House of Representatives for a minimum of 4 years. That added together is 20 plus years in Congress. Their base salary is $174,000 a year, yet more than 50% of them, 245 congressmen, are millionaires. They don't have to follow the same rules that we do. They don't have to worry about insider trading laws. They can pass legislation or receive information about how legislation is going to go that affects a specific industry, and they can go invest in that tomorrow and reap the benefits of that. Our judicial branch, right? It's not elected. They're chosen by the president. They do the best they can to pick people with experience so that they hold themselves basically to a somewhat higher level. However, no matter what, every Chief Justice or every justice that's been nominated for the Supreme Court has been nominated based on his political or ideological beliefs. The problem that I see right now with the judicial branch is that they are tending to legislate from the bench. They are redefining laws that affect people. Roe versus Wade, which was a law about abortion, okay, and regardless of the morality of abortion, a key thing that really affected precedent was that the Supreme Court ended up ruling on a woman's right to privacy. And that right to privacy was based on what trimester she was in her pregnancy. That was never part of any specific law. Yet they came back and they said, no, this is law. First trimester, she has a right to privacy. Second trimester, a right to privacy. Third trimester, she doesn't. Okay? And that is not constitutional. The executive branch. With the executive branch, President Bush started skirting the Constitution by performing what's called signing statements. And when he had to sign a law that he didn't completely agree on or that might limit him in his powers, he would actually put a statement on there that says, by executive power, I can disregard this law as I see fit. And then he would sign the bill into law, and not many people knew about these signing statements that he was doing. Today, though, Barack Obama, he's very blatant about it. He'll come out and specifically state, I'm not going to enforce immigration laws, drug laws, or even his own Health Care Act. He's decided to change the implementation dates all on his own, even though it was already signed into law. So from there, we run into the situation of, well, what do we do to fix this? And the framers of the Constitution had understood what direction we could possibly go, but also understood human nature. And so they built into the Constitution the ability to change it. They didn't make it easy, but they gave us a method in which we could, and we have, changed the Constitution through amendments. The first method is the one that's been used, where 2/3 of each house agrees to an amendment, and then they send it to the states to ratify it, where 3/4 of the states have to ratify it. If we're looking for an amendment today, that's not ever going to happen. Our Congress can't pass a budget, let alone an amendment. So what we have to do is the alternate method that our framers came up with. They knew that at some point it was possible that our Congress would stop listening to the people and stop doing what was best for the country. So they created an opportunity where the states could go and submit what's called an application for the proposal of amendments. If 2/3 of the states submit these applications on common amendment issues, Congress has to, by law, then set a date for a convention in which the states would go and send their representatives to modify and build amendments that they could all agree upon. From there, those amendments would get sent out to the states for ratification, and if 3/4 of those states agreed that this would be a good amendment, it would pass, never having to go to Congress. This method is something that I think can actually save our country. Some of these amendments that are being proposed are the term limits for representatives, limits to federal spending, amendments for promote free enterprise, limits for amendment to limit federal bureaucracy, and amendment to establish term limits for justices. Could this work? Yes, I believe it could work. One of the key things is no matter what, it will raise attention. It will let Congress know that we've had it, right? They need to change their ways and fix it. So whether the amendments could ever get through the whole process or not, it still raises the attention for Congress to know that we're ready for change. If Congress doesn't make changes, the states will then become more they'll feel stronger about it, and maybe more states will get involved, and it may take 2 rounds to go through and to get the changes made, and then they'll go and make them. Right now, Congress has an approval rating of 9%. Okay, when BP in 2010 had their oil spill in the Gulf, one of the worst ecological disasters in the history of the world, BP had an approval rating of 14%. That's better than what Congress is today. If only 9% of the country believes that Congress is doing an okay job, I think that ratifications of amendments through the states is something that's completely possible. What could be expected? If these amendments were to go through, the representatives would do the best they could because they care. They're going there not as a job, they're going there for a purpose. The Senate would have to approve and pass a budget on an annual basis, so they'd be accountable to the people. They'd have to explain why they're spending specific money on specific things. The federal agencies would all have to be, they would abolish all the federal agencies, this amendment, and it would, Congress would have to reapprove each one of them. And with that, they would also have to approve a budget so that the spending would be not come from just a general fund and be spent wherever somebody else saw fit. And then most of all, the power would begin to be returned back to the states, and the opportunity for tyranny would be blocked. If we do nothing, then we can expect nothing, right? The continued greed and ideological blindness is never going to fix the problem in Congress. They'll just continue doing what they're doing. We have to remember that freedom is a right, okay? It truly is a right, where fairness is not a right, okay? Just because I have a cookie doesn't mean you get a cookie, right? So those who work hard for themselves and their families deserve to reap the rewards. So what we can do, we need to do something. Contact your state representative, not your federal representatives, not your congressman, but your local senators and representatives, and let them know that you're interested in a convention for the proposal of amendments to the U.S. Constitution. They'll know what you're talking about, and as long as you let them know that you're interested in it, they will go forward and move forward with this. Thank you very much. Did you stop it?